Tesla has been pretty close to several other launches, but this was the first that was loud enough to trigger Sentry mode. He adds that it was really fun reviewing the footage, seeing himself dead center in the rear camera view, photographing and enjoying the launch. Here's the video from Steven's real camera. Be sure to check out his Instagram @StevenMadow for more rocket launches from both NASA and SpaceX. Wham bam, we like this rocket man. Brian had parked his Model 3 in Louisville, Kentucky, and when he got back, his Sentry mode had captured this event. They seem to like it. Or is this some sort of Ocean's 11 stakeout? Let's just assume they liked it.
反修例運動後，展開咗一場顏色鬥爭，黃藍兩派爭持不下，各自產生咗獨立嘅經濟圈。依家正值黃色經濟圈成立1週年，同時間抵制藍店嘅行動仍然繼續，不過都有例外嘅。
因為係我中意飲水，法國水。我係本身想買 Volvic 嘅，但係今日冇 Volvic， 所以我買咗 Evian。廣州法國水我都係買嘅，同埋係平啲嘅 ，compare to 七仔啊，百佳啊呢啲係。
我今日咧就等過嚟㗎，我退咗休㗎啦，未退休之前咧，朝頭早啊8點零鐘我啊茶收工，日日都飲完茶先翻屋企嘅。啊？係啊，係啊，我而家又翻去㗎啦。
藍店有咁多間，就首選5間藍到發黑嘅企業講下，好多間都好慘，仲要鬼鬼祟祟。首先係最大型嘅飲食企業之一美心，自從太子女伍淑清喺聯合國人權會議上嘅出位言論，仲講到明要放棄年輕人，串串共感，都好難怪市民會唔放棄你，順便裝修下嘅。就算美心多次發聲明話，伍淑清已經冇喺旗下公司做任何職位，亦都冇參與管理，但都已經無補於事。美心旗下嘅食肆美心皇宮，今年年初曾經傳出裁員，當時被裝修，令到集團要承受大筆嘅維修費，所以選擇喺部分店鋪完租之後唔再續租。牛奶公司截至6月底嘅業績中提到，美心上半年轉蝕1.95億，營業額下跌近30%，去到68億。上半年共錄得約3.9億虧損。為咗維持生意，美心間中就會靜靜雞改名，換咗個面具就可以洗底，喺市場賺翻筆。而美心近日又繼續換面工程，以 Maxim's Caterers Limited 名義喺今年年初開始為7個商標進行註冊，而商標擁有人同埋商業登記都係美心，業務包埋餐廳同網店，又大搞外賣平台。其中一間外賣店便當日子，佢嘅登記地址被揭發同當當屋同埋元氣壽司相同，而另一間外賣店 Chick in a Box， 佢嘅地址就俾人發現同當當屋同埋一風堂相同。擁有福建幫背景嘅富林集團，舊年反修例風波期間，曾經有福建幫喺北角富林皇宮外面聚集同埋發生打鬥，當時仲有途人被圍毆，網民就隨即發起杯葛行動。事隔半年，集團2月起實施控制營運成本措施，包括下調執行董事同埋高級管理層嘅薪酬，同安排前線同事放無薪假期，足足有2000人受影響。富林嘅中期業績提到，集團上半年收入跌近50%，雖然最終獲得抗疫基金補貼6862萬，但係虧損由3214萬升到去9590萬。近日集團旗下嘅富林匯俾業主陳為沙田新城市發展有限公司入稟高等法院，指佢拖欠租金同埋雜費接近3個月，涉及嘅款項達到163萬，業主要求立即還款、清空鋪頭同埋賠償損失。記者最近去返福建幫打鬥嘅北角富林皇宮出面視察，下晝2點幾，酒樓外面不時有中年同埋老年食客出出入入，門外亦都有擺放攤檔，賣羊腩煲等等嘅產品，吸引外賣客。生意搞唔掂，唯有學下美心咁靜靜雞改名轉型。而家富林正係不斷咁分拆旗下嘅酒樓鋪位， 做其他商業用途，包括開設吉田食品超市 (PHI) 大象等等新品牌，但係官網就揾唔到呢一堆鋪頭。講到專做旅客。
I just bought the $35,000 Tesla Model 3, and just like any 28-year-old millennial would do, I ordered it online without ever having seen it and without ever having driven one before. Here's what happened. I was browsing YouTube and happened to come across a video announcing the arrival of Tesla's $35,000 Model 3. As I was watching that video, I opened up a second tab in my browser just to spec one out for fun. I honestly had zero intention of ever buying one. It's just a guilty hobby of mine to go to car websites and spec out brand new cars just to see how expensive they would be. So I went on Tesla's website and got to work. The standard range Model 3 begins at their promised price of $35,000, but I quickly realized that if you increase your budget just a modest $2,000, you'll get an extra 20 miles of range, a slightly higher top speed, power-adjusted seats, premium interior, and an upgraded audio, which honestly seems like a decent value. Then we get to colors. If you get any other color besides black, it'll cost you up to $2,500 more if you want red. Now, I'm all about saving money, as we all know, so we're going with black today. Next, they give you the option to upgrade to 19-inch wheels for an extra $1,500. Nope, that's not gonna happen. Now we have the choice of interior color, either black or white, but white is an extra $1,000 and I would be worried about getting that dirty, so black it is. And finally, we have autopilot. For an additional $3,000, the car will stay in its own lane and keep pace with traffic. A must-have for anyone lazy like me. They also offer full self-driving capability for an extra $5,000. This includes navigating highways, summoning your car, and a few other technologically amazing feats. But for $5,000, I think I can just do that myself. So now, within just a few minutes, in less time than it takes to make a bag of popcorn in the microwave, I was done configuring a Tesla Model 3. However, it should come as no surprise that the $35,000 Model 3 is not really a $35,000 Model 3. My just-for-fun spec car with very few options came to a whopping $40,000. Classic bait and switch, am I right? Well, kind of. Even though the car is technically a $40,000 car, it's hard not to focus on the number at the bottom of the screen where it says price after estimated savings. So how does a $40,000
No notes! I mean, let's see how this first one goes. Anyone says cut, say it to my face where I can see you. Cut. Sounds ready. Ornery as ever.
In 2019, it is a day of chaos. In stark contrast, President Xi Jinping leads celebrations in Beijing for the rest of the country. Public opinion across mainland China is strongly against the violence in Hong Kong, and on this day, the amplified unrest becomes a national embarrassment. 13 of Hong Kong's 18 districts are rocked by clashes between radical anti-government protesters and police. The MTR system is shut down. Shops and businesses shuttered. Smoke from burning barricades and tear gas fumes fill the air. Given the intensity of the clashes, it is something that is bound to happen sooner or later, and it does. An 18-year-old protester is shot in the chest at close range by a police officer under attack. It marks the first time during months of protests that anyone is shot by a live round.
The action of the police actually kept on TV camera, so everybody can see it.
I was deployed in Chunwan, where the shooting took place of the young boy. Extremely violent crowd that day, out to have conflict, to cause trouble. I would say from the various deployments I've had for that 7-month period, that October 1st one was by far and away the most violent.
Police fire 6 live rounds that day, and while no one is killed, the escalation causes widespread alarm.
It is a life-threatening situation. We have well-established guidelines when we need to use firearms. I wouldn't say that our frontline officers are doing everything perfect on the ground, but I hope that everybody needs to bear in mind that our frontline officers on the ground, they are facing a lot of stress and challenges.
The teenager who was shot undergoes emergency surgery and survives. He is also arrested and charged with rioting and assaulting a police officer. The first use of deadly force by police and resentment against them over the year-long controversy lead to a sharp escalation of violence. But it's not all police versus protesters. Supporters and opponents of the protest movement are pitted against each other. A deeply divided society is reflected in 2 opposing colours. Yellow for the anti-government movement, blue for those who support police and the establishment. Vigilante violence becomes commonplace as radical protesters take to assaulting people who speak out against them on the streets. Extreme opponents of the protest movement also engage in tit-for-tat violence. Society is in full upheaval.
其實如果你有回顧6月、7月、8月，其實係大概8月中先至開始出現我哋可以撕裂其他派系政派人士嘅事嘅。咁好多時候，我認為係因為藍色嗰邊嘅派系，即係對家嘅派系咧，當然包括埋黑社會同警察啦，咁佢哋會做好多不斷嘅暴力事件出嚟，去推化我哋嗰邊嘅憤怒同埋過怒嘅程度啦。甚至乎，如果你係加上你一表態你係邊個顏色派嘅人，你都會即刻受到襲擊啊，甚至乎係無理嘅傷害啦。咁呢一種情況下，市民嘅團結性同協調都咁低嘅時候咧，我認為政府施政會失敗啦。
This particular attack on a Mandarin-speaking JP Morgan Chase employee by protesters outside the company's headquarters has a deep impact on public opinion. Many are repulsed by the lawlessness. Protest violence spins out of control, targeting businesses with links to mainland China and those seen as sympathetic towards the blue camp. The demonstrations continue long after Chief Executive Carrie Lam has formally withdrawn the extradition bill, a gesture which does little to ease anger on the streets. For many, it is too little, too late. The protesters have a list of 5 demands, now including an independent investigation into police conduct and an amnesty for the many arrested. Lam's government rejects the demands as unreasonable, but has no other political solution to offer. Hong Kong is torn apart.
警方同政府嘅犧牲咧，佢哋嘅申請咧，其實我哋就唔太理會嘅，因為大家都係敵人啦，冇理由我要你敵人嘅感受同埋身體情況去判斷我應唔應該去進行武力升級嘅嘛。
I took my oath of office in 1988 to the Hong Kong government and the people of Hong Kong, and that's what I do, that's what we, the police force, do. We serve the people of Hong Kong. They might not necessarily agree with everything we've been doing late, but I honestly, hand on heart, believe what we have done has saved Hong Kong from a far worse fate. The Hong Kong police has been put in the middle of what is a political conundrum, a political problem, dilemma. We're in the middle of it. We're not trying to solve the political problem. We're just trying to keep Hong Kong safe so that people can go about their normal daily lives. Tear gas is used for dispersing the crowd, and tear gas has been used by a lot of countries for 100 years, but nobody criticizes that. We just want to disperse the crowd. When we use the Special Crowd Management Vehicle, SCMV, when we use the colour dye, we also receive criticism. What do you expect us to do? Verbal advice, verbal warning, then people will criticize us being impolite. Is that fair? While criticizing us using different level of force, then are they criticizing the other party, the rioters, using that sort of violence? Those are the lethal weapons: petrol bombs, firearms, explosives.
其實我一路以嚟都對汽油彈係有好大嘅恐懼同擔憂，即係好驚會傷到人。但係你見到喺成個示威過程裏邊，即係絕大部分嘅示威者其實佢嗰個汽油彈都係掟喺地下，掟落地下嗰度，即係阻止警方推進，或者佢哋走嘅時候為自己開一條即係路。喺一個運動員有經歷嘅時候，我慢慢理解到其實嗰個氣彈佢哋嘅作用其實係保護自己。反之，警察話咗開槍係可以接受嘅，繼續。
Constant clashes and tear gas-filled streets take their toll on residents of built-up neighborhoods such as Mong Kok. Bonnie Ho is one of them.
咁我呢度樓下就已經係亞皆老街啦，我又望住彌敦道啦 ，OK。咁其實晚晚就喺呢個十字路口位，晚晚都會見到警察喺度布防咯。跟住然之後咁啲示威者就喺樓下揾啲雜物啊、垃圾桶啊嗰啲好多嘢喺度擋住路。因為佢放出嚟，但係咧會放到樓下嘅。放完啦，我即刻閂窗啊，即刻走去洗面啊，擋住煙啊，跟住又開風扇吹下先啦，唔係成間都係嗰陣味啊嘛。跟住然之後，我仔都唔夠一個鐘頭就流血，跟住之後又咳啦，跟住咳咗成個禮拜。
The social unrest takes a turn for the worse in November, plumbing new depths of violence. The death of Chelsea Locke, a university student who fell from a multi-story car park while police were conducting a clearance operation nearby, sparks a renewed backlash. Young protesters call for more aggressive action. University campuses become the new war zones. Regular and radical student protesters, joined by extremists, take over 5 university campuses on November 11th, calling for a citywide general strike. The violence spills over into a second day.
Has been pushed to the brink of total collapse, as mass rioters rapidly escalate their violence under the false hope that they can get away with it.
Police enter the Chinese University of Hong Kong campus, accusing radicals of criminal damage and stockpiling an arsenal of weapons to fight them. An attempt to mediate by the university's vice-chancellor failed. Protesters and police fight for control of a key bridge leading to the campus. The battle of the bridge lasts for hours.
They were the really hardcore front line, the militants, with the best training, who tried to take possession of the university campuses. And what they were doing was really dangerous, so they had to be stopped.
死都要趕住中大，甚至乎犧牲都要趕住中大嘅原因就係因為中大嘅建校基礎就係反共啊嘛。咁而共產黨嘅大量嘅政權所派出嘅警力係需要進攻呢一個我哋所謂進攻呢一個中大嘅時候，咁我哋梗係武力梗係立即提供，同埋亦都係作出對立嘅抵抗啦。
Students at other universities respond with extreme measures, fortifying their campuses, barricading entrances, and blocking public access to road and rail traffic. But police keep their distance. By the end of the week, all but one of the campuses are abandoned. Outside the Baptist University campus, where protesters block the road with debris, a striking scene unfolds. People's Liberation Army soldiers emerge from their nearby barracks to clean up the mess. They turn out in gym shorts and vests, armed with buckets and brooms rather than guns. This is the first and only intervention in the protest by the PLA. And it's all over in an hour. All the constant speculation about the possibility of a Tiananmen-style crackdown proves unfounded. the last campus to remain occupied. The Hong Kong Polytechnic University becomes the most violent battleground yet. An estimated 1,000 protesters dig in for the long haul.
即係對於我嚟講，係見到架武裝架車爆個胎，其實個心都係開心。你真係會有一種佢最自豪嘅一架裝甲車竟然會爆胎咁樣。
Hardcore activists take it to a new level, mass-producing more makeshift weapons and blocking access to the nearby Cross Harbour Tunnel, a key thoroughfare connecting Hong Kong Island to the Kowloon Peninsula.
We were shocked, to see so many people inside the university using this sort of violence. One of our media liaison officer got attacked by an arrow with his scarf, being struck through. It is sad to see that. Although, I must say, not all rioters inside were university students. But again, you can see a lot of university students are being exploited to use such level of violence.
Police form a ring around Poly U. No one gets in, no one gets out. The campus is under siege.
They wanted to create a situation where a lot of protesters could be caught inside the university campus.
你而家出面犧牲咗咁多手足，我哋就算我哋想後悔都唔可以後悔，一定要死定啊！
最慘嘅嘢我哋亦都同時間有咁多手足喺裏面，都顯現咗人性嘅光輝啦。
They make a big mistake because they have been successful by following the be water tactics. When they were all over the place, it's hard for the police to catch them. But on that occasion, they were corralled by the police, and they became very scared from what I heard. So I think the police scored a decisive victory.
We shut the place down. That's it. We're not putting up with any more of this. We locked it down, we cordoned it, we were in control of it. And I think it's a little bit of a pivotal moment, as it were.
The siege of Poly U is still underway as the city goes to the polls. Public trust in the authorities is at an all-time low, both among protesters on the streets with their unaddressed grievances and those demanding a return to law and order and peace. The anger against the government and Beijing is channeled by the protest movement into the polls, and their opposition candidates, riding on this wave of discontent, achieve a landslide victory at the municipal-level district council elections. The election is widely seen as a de facto referendum on just how much public support is behind the protest movement. And the numbers make it crystal clear. Opposition candidates seized 392 out of 452 district council seats, trouncing pro-establishment candidates in a stunning rebuke to Lam's governance. But at the same time, the number of votes for pro-establishment parties add up to 1.2 million, compared with 1.6 million for the opposition. Another reflection of a divided society. After nearly 2 weeks with police surrounding the campus and protesters holed up inside, the siege of PolyU ends. Protesters abandon the campus over the course of several days. Hundreds are arrested by waiting police. When police take over the campus, they make a stunning discovery. A stockpiled arsenal of nearly 4,000 petrol bombs, almost 1,400 explosive items, more than 600 bottles of corrosive liquids, and nearly 600 other weapons. But it is no decisive victory for the authorities to celebrate. Hong Kong society has never been so traumatized, exhausted, or divided. Christmas 2019. And the protests continue. On the streets and in shopping malls. Glory to Hong Kong, a song born of the protest movement, becomes the anthem of defiance. Patriotic groups opposing the protests hold rival singing sessions, belting out China's national anthem in a musical counter-offensive. Protesters target shops they see as being run by people who oppose them. Shopping malls become another battleground as police go in after them. Like the protesters, police also change tactics, taking more aggressive, often preemptive action to restore law and order. They are led by a new commissioner, Chris Tang, who brings in a bolder, no-nonsense style of policing. The police force is no longer the demoralized and embattled agency struggling to control the protests, encouraged also by Beijing's vocal support for officers it hails as heroes. And then, on top of everything, comes the coronavirus pandemic. COVID-19, in a city already scarred by SARS, keeps people off the streets. The protests are not over, but they're dying down. Enforce social distancing rules while getting tougher and more resolute in their crackdowns on protest violence and illegal gatherings. The combined impact on the scale and frequency of protests is substantial. Just a few months ago, Lamb's government had invoked emergency powers to ban the use of masks, its targets being the radicals covering their faces to break the law. Now it has to ask everyone to wear masks to save lives. For the first time in 3 decades, police banned Hong Kong's annual candlelight vigil to mark the anniversary of the Tiananmen Square crackdown. But thousands remained defiant, gathering at Victoria Park in the heart of the Causeway Bay business district. Authorities cite the risk of COVID-19, but for protesters and opposition activists, the pandemic is being used as an excuse to suppress them. They have another reason to rally, and it's something far more devastating to the movement, of far more consequence to the city, the new national security law. Just days ahead of the June 4 commemoration, China's top legislative body unanimously passes the national security law for Hong Kong. The new law outlaws acts of secession, subversion, terrorism, and collusion with foreign forces. Beijing had left it to the Hong Kong government to end the protest chaos of the previous year. Hong Kong. The new law outlaws acts of secession, subversion, terrorism, and collusion with foreign forces. Beijing had left it to the Hong Kong government to end the protest chaos of the previous year. Hong Kong. The new law outlaws acts of secession,
This was a protest near the White House on June 1st.
It had been an entirely peaceful protest.
It was met by forces with helmets, riot shields, rifles, and tear gas. The authorities here were a mix of police and military. There were Secret Service, Park Police, the National Guard, prison special operations, and local police